Hello, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Bridget, thank you for helping out. Can you please help to establish for me?
Of course. Okay. Chair Dixon,
President.
Vice Chair Cohen.
Oh, sorry, Bridget.
Okay. Commissioner O'Reilly. Commissioner Buckles.
Here.
Commissioner Olson.
Here.
Commissioner Basiji. Commissioner Nagao. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have any public for comments?
Does not appear that we do.
People need to speak up a little bit, okay?
We do not have any public comment. How is that?
Can we move on to the minutes, and approval for the February 5th? For which I.
What was that?
The February 5th meeting, can we call for approval of minutes, please?
So moved. Second.
Please take, a vote, all in favor? I was not present, so I will say absent. Can we review the joint meeting of February 27th? How many were present? Who are present? Yes. Do we have any action items from the city council joint meeting that we need to review?
I think we should have a summary of things we talked about.
Does,
Just actually.
yes. Does somebody want to share about the joint commission?
If anybody wanted to share? We had a really nice, a meeting with the city council, and, it was my first time, so I had a chance to see some of the faces that I've never met before. And we got a chance to talk about our work plan. There was a question from the city saying that some of the items on the work plan didn't have any dates pending for working on them. And so we tried to clarify that the work plan was going to come into action once we had the results of the survey. Until we had the results of the survey, we didn't know which items needed action. And all the items on the work plan conform to the domains that have been set into place by WHO and AARP. So that's why they were there. But whether we need to review them or do anything about them will only come up after the survey results. And then we had 3 people speak. All 3 are present here. Will you please summarize what things you talked about?
I mentioned, calling people.
Just go ahead.
I didn't see who raised their hand down.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so I raised the point about, the number of hours that were open for the senior programming, and that it would be nice if we could be open more hours and not close up at 2 o'clock. And, I know it has to do with budgeting, and so it's a concern because if it's not budgeted already, you know, how does it really happen? So I'm thinking we might have to make a formal request in writing to the city council requesting that. And, so that's kind of one of the points that I made.
So do we need to, does anybody know if we need to make a formal written request?
Actually, it's not budgeting, that's the issue. Cause if I may, what the issue is with the staffing is finding the people. It's not the budget, it's because our positions are part-time.
We
And
understand that.
but it's not there's a budget, but it's actually finding people to candidates, if it were. Cause I can give you, if Chris, for example, we're hiring 2 rec leaders for the adult 50 plus, and it's taken almost half a year to staff. Maria Lou is one of our newer rec 2s, but we've been given 2 more. And just to hire part-time staff is a huge challenge, partly, and this is happening at several different community centers. I think but it isn't really the budget, it's more of finding the people to apply for those positions. Chris actually just did an interview. So I just wanted to share that point, that we have a budget, but I think what we need is more help with helping to get the word out, to get, more people interested. We're doing everything, but also Los Altos is, for public transportation, things like that, it could be challenging to live in the Bay Area. So those are just a few issues, and talking to my colleagues, they're having the same issue.
Follow up?
Yeah, I think that, that's well known. I've heard about that for the last, well, we talked about it after the meeting for a short time.
Yeah.
And every single city and governmental agency is short.
Yeah.
And, there's, many, many factors, but I just think we still need it in writing what our needs are. And because if we don't do it in writing,
Sure.
then it doesn't get on their agenda. So I think it's important. And I wasn't clear about that when I was talking, that it needs to be more formal. I mean, I just said it would be, we have really short hours. We've had it since the beginning and they've never increased, but we have had more people coming. But I know your point about you can't hire anyone. No one's there to hire because there's so many factors about that. The salaries are competitive, but they're just too low. No one can afford to live here.
We definitely want to
And
expand.
how far can they travel to come? So we know that part, but I just think we still need something formalized. So if we can, that would be good.
Let's think about it. Dr. Baku?
Would there be any, value in, since this is a part-time job, having it shared amongst communities so that it became full-time? And thus has a larger economic, value to the person whom you find, says, okay, that's enough money for me to actually afford to go to Safeway.
I don't know what exactly, do you mean, when you say shared, do you mean?
So Sunnyvale, Mountain View,
Job share with another city.
Oh, okay, so like if somebody works at Sunnyvale, then they could, Bill, that is a great idea. We've actually looked into that, but unfortunately, they're having trouble too, finding staff, but it's a creative idea. We could revisit it.
you could advertise a higher salary if it was
True.
full-time. So shared amongst communities.
Right. No, that's it. I'll definitely talk to Jamie about that. It's a very creative idea.
Did you want to, Dr. Baku, did you want to talk about your?
Oh, I spoke about the efforts to help Cafe.
One more thing, just to clarify what we're gonna do. You brought it up at the council meeting, but I think, like you said, it's better to have it formalized and documented. So what we're gonna suggest is to agendize it for future discussion. Because then what happens is, it's shown on the agenda. And then also, if people who want to come and speak on it,
Yeah.
and also might have a great idea, can come to speak to that.
All right, so can we agendize the item that we will discuss?
Making sure we're
Future
staying
action.
on the agenda topic.
Right.
And then that, at that time, you can provide other suggestions, and then even wanting to place your request in writing.
Do we need to have a vote on that? To put it on the agenda? We can just go.
I think when you talk about future agenda items, you can.
All right.
That's an excellent idea.
Anything else you wanted to add from your, remarks?
Just that we have looked at various sources of people who could serve on the focus groups, including, though not residents of Los Altos, experts in the field who live locally. So for example, for the less employed, less home secure, CSA type of client. I'm talking with Tom about, or getting someone who would be able to serve on a focus group. And likewise, people who are knowledgeable about housing. These are people I've encountered in my network. So there's some people who could help the cafe.
Okay. All right, Chris, you would also,
Right.
presented, yeah?
So I know Chris and I had worked together and had thought, and also with Chris, to talk about programs. So the three Chris's here. We put our swords together.
D'Artagnan.
Chris, you're still talking about the council meeting, right? The joint council
Yes.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah, so it's about being able to add more programs to the community center to make it more vibrant. Have more people come in, have a range of different programs, which could be fitting to different age groups. And so that's where the discussion started.
Okay. All right, Jane had another comment to make.
When I was looking back at the action plans to review just a little bit about where we're going, because I think we're a little bit confused. We have focus groups, and then they have what they call, key informant interviews, which would be a little bit like
Yeah.
what Bill's saying. It's not that, they're not members of the focus groups, they're actually seen separately and interviewed. So I think we have to go back and, review all this stuff and talk to Annabelle about it.
I wasn't aware that that's a way of meeting the same need.
Yeah, so.
So I think we've gone a little ahead of what we were just trying to do. We were just trying to simply inform each other of what we presented at the joint committee meeting, the city council meeting. And I think we've finished that part. Can we move on to the work plan review? Anyone want to make any comments about the work plan review? Is there another work plan, or do we want to add anything more?
Oh, I had a question regarding the ad hoc subcommittee. I know it was from the city council discussion, it was apparent we really don't have a course of action or direction until we get the results back from CAFE. And I know we were looking at different programs. Is it something where, now that was my question I put in my report, is this something where we can and should move forward with ideas, or do we need to have our time off of this subcommittee and be part of the committee to figure out what are we doing with all this information coming in from CAFE and disseminating that information, because that seems where our directive will come from, is what's coming from the survey, what's coming from the focus group. So if you have two of us over here working on programs, we're not working on all of this information to help in a timely manner. So my question is how best to move forward? Do we work on this until we get the information back?
No, Chris, I want to correct you, if my understanding is right. The ad hoc committee is made only for a certain duration of time, and then it ends.
Okay.
So if you made the ad hoc committee with you, the two Chris's, to go and review the adult 50+ programs, then it also comes in with a time limit. So if you wanted to review it just until this meeting today, then it's done. And now you're free to do whatever else you want to start. But you have to submit that report that you had reviewed, the 50+ programming, what your findings are, that's to be done right now. And then that ad hoc committee is dissolved, and you're free to start something else.
So are we considered an ad hoc or are we considered a subcommittee?
There is no subcommittee anymore. There are no subcommittees existing.
I think my concern is, we've already said, but there's been nothing specific that we talked about. We didn't talk about a specific class or a specific speaker or whatever. So now that if this is dissolved at this meeting, what happens to the ideas that we were throwing out? Are they no longer, they have not been acknowledged or heard? That's my concern.
I don't think we're done.
We're not done.
So your ad hoc committee still exists, and you are trying to figure out what programs are available to adult 50+ for one more month until we meet again.
So we're trying to offer suggestions for new programs other than what is currently being provided.
Or expanded.
Right, expand on it. So if in fact we have the ability to do that at the next meeting, then are they being memorialized in some manner?
I think yes.
Yeah.
Okay, is that okay? Absolutely.
Go for it. Otherwise, if you want to,
I think you will do better.
okay. So I guess you formed this committee last month?
We did. And
Okay,
we've had a meeting, and then Chris had an opportunity to have a meeting with Chris.
okay. So you form your committee. Normally what happens is, after the committee meets, done their work, then they bring it back to the commission to report out. Then after the report out, the commission can decide what actions to take based on your recommendations or what you've studied to bring back that may need some of the attention. And so what happens is, then you agendize to report out, and after the commission as a whole determines what actions may need to be taken, then they, at that point, if they decide to take actions and take your recommendations or do whatever, then at that point, they can dissolve that or disband that committee, and then you can be free to work on other things.
It's just because we've had a report on it doesn't mean that it's over. We haven't itemized the items that we want to highlight.
Well, you haven't reported, well, you're saying that this agenda, the report that you submitted today, item 3 is your report?
No.
No, wait.
Item
Four.
Four.
They won't be when you
Yeah.
talk about the
Yeah,
adult.
because I thought I saw a document.
But it wasn't conclusive,
Yeah,
it was
wasn't-
just a progress report, so I'm learning, so thank you for this. And it's where I thought to give an update of what it is, but nothing by any means has been.
But then you give a progress and you say, this is what we're doing. And at the next meeting, we'll be able to agendize it, and then we can, be able to present our findings.
Specifics. That sound good?
So then next meeting,
When we talk about items for the next meeting for the agenda, put this item on there.
right, so can we add that we will talk about?
At this meeting, you will be reporting at this, on the number 4, when we get to agenda, item 4. That's where you're speaking to your item.
But you won't be giving us any progress report till now, at least when we come to item 4?
That's when they provide you what they've been doing, and they're reporting out back to you on their progress.
It'll pretty much be the summary that.
All right, so we'll wait for that.
I had asked the issue of caregivers for aging adults be agendized, and I didn't see that.
Is this the item, was it the slides?
Yes, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, so my understanding is if the commission wants to add that to the work plan, then that can be handed out, but it has to be approved by the senior commission right now, because it wasn't.
I only wanted to bring it up for information.
Then we can bring it up at the last meeting at under future agenda items.
I had asked that this be put on this month's agenda.
And when did you ask?
And just shortly after the February meeting, like maybe less than a week.
In an email.
Oh, no, then that doesn't, you can't do it. It has to be through future agenda items at a public meeting, because you're gonna need the support and your vote, you know, your other your other commission members to support your request. So under the future agenda items is when you, so if you're sending an email after, a week later, after the commission meeting, that cannot, and you'll bring it up at our commission meeting.
So future agenda items, so when we get to the future agenda items, that's where you're gonna,
How do you understand how one proposes future agenda items? What is the process?
When we could get to future agenda items, at that time you can place your request.
So only at a meeting?
yes, because the agenda's already been put together and we can't add it now, because it's for public record.
I see.
You need a majority of the commissioners to put something on the agenda, so if you only have one person saying, I want this on the agenda, we can't agendize it. If you approach the subject as, this is part of my subcommittee or ad hoc committee report, then it can be given to the commission because you're discussing that as an ad hoc committee, and then it could be voted on or discussed however you would like to do that, but it has to be under your ad hoc committee report.
On the task force?
So it would be like under a task force report.
The H-Friendly City Task Force.
Well, you can bring it up at the end, under future agenda items, and if you cannot violate the Brown Act, if you can speak to other members of your commission to support you on that item, that's another way to do it. But never do the majority of your commission. Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to agenda number 4 then? So have we passed our current work plan? And does everybody agree that that is all we want to keep? Until we have additional information, because this is the last time we're reviewing it.
We have it on every time.
So we have it on every time?
It's a living document, the work plan.
Right, thank you. I did not
We
know that.
visit it every.
Okay, I
We
didn't know.
don't, we can skip it 1 month, but we said we agreed that we would have it on because it's fluid with the ad hoc committees coming off and on, and it's gonna change all the time.
Okay. Okay, so any ad hoc committee reports, that we can go through?
So this is when you.
So Chris has already submitted a written, summary. We're not prepared to give you itemized items.
That's fine. That's fine. Can we either put up the written summary or read it out or something?
Chris and Chris met on February 12th to discuss different opportunities for additional programs for 50-plus adults. Subjects included preventative health, mindfulness activities, etc. We also have access to resources, different groups who can provide speakers for these programs. That would be something, many of them, most of all I'm thinking are free programs. And then Chris, we met the next day to discuss opportunities for aging adult programs being introduced into the recreational activities. Discussed also included the current guidelines, limitations, and challenges of the city, community center, and staff. I shared the current 50-plus program brochure and the activity guide. We did discuss how the cover of the activity guide really is conducive to picking it up and understanding that there are adult classes in there. So we had talked about different ways to make the cover inviting for 50+ folks to realize that, oh, there's something in there for me. So it's still in discussion of what programs and what capabilities that we could do. And we did get clarity, more clarity. So that's the report.
Thank you. I had a question for Candace. Candace, before December, I had sent my one-person review of the ad hoc committee where I was the one person. Did you ever
It was
receive
in
it?
the packet last time, I think.
I have never seen it again. I'd asked for it and never seen it. Was it there?
I'll need to double check.
Yeah, I think it's missed somewhere. And I did not keep a copy for myself, so if you can find it, send it to me so we can add it. Anything else? Any other ad hoc committees? You had someone report?
I was going to mention things that I had heard at the recent Rotary, and the information was staggering that the kinds of issues that we continue aging until endpoint, but the later aging times are fraught with various problems, economic. The data are on the slides that the speaker was kind enough to send me. And so I was going to offer that information to the commission. Is that okay for me to do? I raised my hand.
I had requested that Bill talk about, because he was a one-person ad hoc committee that went to this lecture, and he could represent that here. I think there was some misunderstanding that he had sent the slides, and we thought that that item was not agendized. But he was an ad hoc committee that did this. Can we talk about that now?
Is that under the?
Receive ad hoc committee reports.
He could do it under,
Probably this,
informational item.
yes, so we're not there yet.
Which information? Oh, I see.
So it's right, commission and committee oral reports, it's down here.
No, but it's under number 4, we say receive ad hoc committee reports. And if there was an ad hoc committee that went to that lecture to give us a report.
Oh, I thought it was a report regarding the 50+ program.
That's what's on 4.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So
Number 4 was.
number,
It wasn't a general ad hoc
Yeah.
subcommittee.
Was that ad hoc committee made last meeting, the February meeting? Because I don't see it in the minutes. And I don't recall that ad hoc committee being created.
I asked about it and they said yes. Yeah, I
because
don't-
according to Jamie, it sounds like this was gonna be in April. For this particular one, unless if it's related to item 4, which is adult 50 programming, received ad hoc subcommittee report, staff presentation. I think that's if you want Chris to talk about different things about programming, that's what number 4 is.
Chris's one, last one.
So we cannot talk about it.
We don't have record, so this particular item that you're talking about, is it related to item 4, or is it, if it's a future agenda item, then that it would be put on the agenda for April?
It sounds like,
It is related to 50+
Okay.
programs.
And the future agenda portion is the sending of the slides to us.
If you're doing it now.
Is my understanding correct?
I hope so.
Yes, I hope so too, because I think that we want to talk about the information that Bill gathered. And it is related to the adult fifties. However, since it wasn't clear that we were supposed to receive the slides today, the slides have not come through. We can put them on the future agenda.
I actually have them.
If we can see them,
And
then
we
yes,
just need to make sure that it's okay with the commission.
we would like to see, I would like to see the slides, because then that would go along with what Bill is wanting to talk about.
Well, here, let me clarify. You formed your committees last month, right? When you formed your committee, the committee members, Chris Wilson and Chris McDowell, met with Chris. No. Did you assign at that meeting after the committee was formed? Did you assign Dr. Buckholz to do this as your committee? Okay, so that's where I'm getting confusion. Because then he's stating that this is part of your committee work. And yet he's not part of your committee.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're getting confused.
Yeah.
So when you had decided that you're going to go to Rotary, it was on behalf of the commission as another level of action. Then that needs to be either given as, information report back, as an informational item to report back. But that is not part of that subcommittee. So I just want to make sure that we're speaking appropriately, where we're agendized to speak about the item.
I feel like I'm getting a lesson in Byzantine politics.
So it's just that we have a process.
Yeah, we have to follow the process.
And we gotta make sure we're transparent about our process. And that way we can properly agendize things and inform people, so when people see the agenda, if they see something on the agenda that they'd like to speak to, they can. And then that item that's being presented is what's expected.
I am still unclear. Am I mute or may I present information?
You could do so at, your report out
On this one.
when we get further down on the agenda.
We're just not there, we're not there yet.
Yeah,
We're still on item 4.
and item 4 was specifically based on the information that this subcommittee was
Right.
going to report back on.
Then we're done with the ad hoc committee, so we should move on to the staff presentations for adult 50+ programming.
Yes, yeah, I'll share some upcoming adult 50+ programming highlights. Next week, Tuesday, March 12th, the cultural exchange program will take place here in the Sycamore Room from 10:30 to noon. Next Wednesday, March 13th, our monthly Grant Park lunch will occur at Grant Park Community Center from 11:30 to 12:30. As a reminder, advanced registration is required to participate. Also, as part of the lunch offering, we will include a presentation from Dr. Scott Cady about Venice, the floating city. Wednesday, March 20th, here at the Community Center, we'll be hosting the Adult 50+ Coffee Social, free of charge, from 9 to noon, with barista brewed craft coffee beverages at no cost. Thursday, March 21st, we'll do our monthly movie, 80s for Brady, and that is free to our passport holders. A couple more items here. Thursday, March 28th is our monthly community center lunch. That's held here at the community center in the Grand Oak Ballroom. Doors open at 11:30. And as a reminder, advanced registration is required to participate. Wrapping up here, we have a volunteer presenting intranet safeties geared for older adults, a volunteer, that's occurring Tuesday, April 2nd in the Apricot Room. Monday, April 8th, our AARP tax appointments will conclude. Limited appointments are still available through our catalog. And then finally, I'll just share, we have 2 upcoming mini trips. We are going to Harley Farms in Pescadero to meet the baby goats. Round trip transportation from the community center is included. We will also stop for a lunch at Pescadero as well. And then finally, we are doing another mini trip to Carolyn's Mansion. Again, transportation is included, and we will have a lunch stop in Menlo Park as well. More information can be found in the community centers and or by joining our mailing list.
Thank you.
Question. When someone gives a report like this, then can we comment on what the person commented on? Is that when we do it? So you brought up the lunch program, and I'd like to make a comment about it. It's usually full, and I don't think we're accommodating our population, and I think our goal here is to enhance our resources so that we can accommodate everyone. Because, I mean, it seems so sad. I mean, we have hundreds of people wanting to come, and we have a limit of 40 people or whatever it is. You know, it kind of changes depending on, I don't know if it changes on the amount you can spend every month or what it is exactly, but I think we need to wiggle something so that we can accommodate the people who'd like to come to us. This is a great social event for our community. So what do you think, Chris?
Yeah.
What's the holdup? I mean, why can't we increase the numbers?
Bridget could speak to that. I would just be curious, what would you recommend as an appropriate number of recipients for the lunch program?
So I can't hear.
How many?
What's appropriate?
I don't know. I think, you know, every time we've had signups, we have a wait list. So you can kind of look back retrospectively and see how many, were there 10 on the wait list, were there 20? I know that some people do get in because people cancel, but I think, you know, I don't want to guess because, I don't want to guess. Maybe
Just one thing to that, and that's true, and there are people who maybe are not as computer savvy to go ahead and sign up for it, and they'll show up and they're hoping to get a lunch, and they'll stand outside the door, which we don't like that. That's not appropriate for our citizens to do. So we're typically looking at 45, 50, but I know the room could probably handle more. So,
If I may, just, I mean, we do have a budget.
Yeah.
And this is something, we have the zero-based budget, so we do have a budget we do need to follow, but, this is an opportunity. I'm one of the supervisors and we know, and also I think the attendance has increased because when we first came back, the numbers were definitely lower. We see that there are more people coming. And so I think it's definitely something to look at of increasing the budget, but we do have right now a zero-based budget, which basically means asking, you know, what we can do, what we need. And so if we can ask for a little more, if that's doable, that's something that we'll have to work through. But we do have a budget currently that we need to stick through. And part of it, I've been doing quotes, and the cost for catering it's much higher than before. So there are some budget items we do need to consider when we're making. And I think the staff they're doing an excellent job of trying to get the bang for the buck. And I think in many cases we have been able to accommodate most on the wait list, but then when Chris could probably speak to that better than me, but I did want to address that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll only just supplement. I think Bridget put it perfectly. I say with the advanced registration, we've really been emphasizing that you need to show up registered. We've really eliminated food waste because we've been communicating, sharing reminders. So there's been much less people, I signed up, but I didn't show up. And for the people who show up, pop in unregistered, we are doing a good job accommodating them. Especially at the buffet lunch where we do our best to provide a high level of service so no one leaves hungry. Yeah, well, it's something we can continue to monitor just in terms of the quality of the food is really high. The quality of the food as that relates to the quantity of lunches provided. Budget. Thought.
Okay, so when we write the letter, which is gonna be in the future agenda item, a formal letter to the city council about some of our needs, we'll put that in it as an example of the need that we have. Because I'm at almost every single lunch, and so I see, and Chris is too, you know, we see the people waiting, like they're waiting for people to no-show. There's so much anxiety around the lunch. We've got to fix it. I don't know how to fix it, but I just watch it and I feel sorry for people. And part of it is the computer sign up. It's very ominous. It really is. It's so hard to do. I mean, I do it, but it's a challenge. It takes so much time and you have to sign waivers for every single lunch. You know, it needs to be streamlined, in my opinion. And that might affect other things too, but I'm just talking about the lunches right now. Chris?
So question regarding the letter that goes in. So it sounds like an item would be streamlining the sign up, finding out the capacity of the lunches, finding out the wait list numbers to then ask for a budget increase to accommodate 60 people. So that way you're in your letter. I'm asking, I don't know, is that where you need to have all this information first, so that way it can become
I don't think it's the senior commission's,
but I mean, just,
No, not that, to do that, but
but to
get the
point
letter.
out, yes.
oh, I don't.
So collect all that information with the
Collect the
staff stuff, yeah.
information to request on, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Let me add one more thing to that. Even if we have more no-shows, and it's usually a weather dependent thing, those lunches always are sold.
Yes.
So it's never any leftovers, there's no waste going on, so that's not an issue with these things.
And also just, I mean, we're talking about, mid-year budget right now. And so I have, every Tuesday, I have a management meeting. So I'll definitely share, because that's something that we as staff are doing, where we're going through our budget and looking at different areas. But, you know, we have a process that we have to follow too. And so I can definitely mention, hey, you know, at the senior commission, there's a concern finding the need to up the number if we can, to try to accommodate more.
I have one more point I want to make, and that is, you know, it directly affects the staff who work in the lunch area and help out. Because if we increase the numbers of people coming to eat, we only have 2 staff people right now, usually to serve here. And that's not enough, depending on how big the numbers get. Because they're going back and forth, you know, among the buffet, whatever, the big chafing dishes. And I think that's a health and safety issue, because we're not touching the big spoons, but they're going back and forth. And I think there's room for an error to occur. And we don't want to have a breach of a health concern.
We can, and Chris also knows this, if there's a need, when we know if there's a bigger number, we can also ask the whole, absolutely. And Chris has done that. Yeah.
But yeah, I know they're working hard to make it happen, so the staff. Yeah, thank you.
We can definitely do that.
It's important that you talk about this, and that's why it's great that you're going to be agendizing it, and also that you've had it while this, ad hoc committee is going to address these things, because that committee should recognize and, hear your concerns, and they should be helping you advocate for the needs that you are raising here today. You know, we have a zero-based budget. That budget won't increase if you don't ask for it. And it's our job to hear what the concerns are, how to continue to grow our programs and address the needs of our community. So it is your job to ask. So, thank you.
All right, can we move on to item number 5? Does anyone have any potential amenities they'd like to discuss or improvements to the Grand Park Community Center?
Oh, yes. So we talked about this before, about having a hardcover between the two buildings. So essentially it's a shade cover, but it can also shield for the rain. So we requested that. We requested more seating outside. We do have a nice little gazebo there, but I think if we increased it, we would have more people coming in. We could even have classes out there, speakers out there when the weather is nice. We talked about the electricity and the HVAC being done. Now, in my meeting with Gabe and with Manny. And we talked about, they said it was gonna be done by the end of 23, but I understand now it's not gonna be done until fall of 24. So, you know, we'll wait because we want it. We would like to see, well, better seating in there. The tables that we've got are pretty heavy and they're aged, maybe something a little bit nicer in that and lighter weight. Currently, we cannot move those tables ourselves. We used to be able in the past, but not anymore. We've kind of aged, kind of. So things like that, we're really looking for. Maybe some of the ground cover, we can have it look a little nicer. The planters we have outside of the thing are pretty stringy looking. They don't look very inviting. So that's my observation. Anybody else have any thoughts about?
Very nice observations and including lots of itemized. Very nice, Lenny. Nice. It's a nice.
Thank you for doing that. The request is to make sure we have a CIP request to address those items. So, capital improvement project request.
Yes.
Discussed the covering between the two buildings.
Right.
Have you got some response from staff about that?
Well, I submitted some pictures when I had that meeting with Gabe and Lily. Just waiting for them to go and see what it would take to do that. I would like to be part of the committee to, you know, when they make a decision, I would like to have an opinion on it, because when they did some of the other improvements, we were not consulted. Now, yes, I'm just a volunteer, but I think I'm there as much or more than most people are.
Sure. So the important thing is that we make sure we get community input. Right. Because I think what's happening is, we heard back when they replaced the flooring at Grant Park and some of the improvements made, and the community felt left out. So we want to make sure that there's public engagement. That's why we have these things agendized, so that people can perhaps see what improvements may occur and provide input on them. So.
The items that Chris talked about, it seems like they have been discussed in fairly long detail, at least with Chris and the other volunteers. How have they been informed to the staff? And those who will take decisions?
Well, that's why the process of making sure it gets agendized, like you have on today's agenda, making sure we request that a CIP project line is created. So that's the start, is making that request.
Very good, thank you. Very good. Anything else for the Grant Park? Any other? All right, then can we move on to item number 6?
Okay, there's a report.
Do you guys want to make a motion regarding the CIT project, or are you just discussing this I'm gonna get more information and come back.
You have to remember that your motions is your actions. Your motions is your ask.
So we put them in, when we reach item number 9, we'll talk about all these things.
No, this is the agenda that the Grant Park item has been discussed.
I see,
So at this time,
I see.
you do your ask through a motion.
Chris, can you please do the honor of that with your motion?
Do I make my motion to be specific or general? So if I make a motion that I'd like to,
You have to say your statement. You have to put in a CIP request to agendize the project for Grant Park.
Yes.
That's what you have to say.
All right.
that's what I would like to do, and put it in an agenda for the CIP request for Grant Park for capital improvements.
And what is the capital improvement project you want?
Okay, for hardcover between the buildings, for improved landscaping, for improved, chairs and tables. I guess is what I want to say.
And you're talking about the chairs and tables for the multipurpose room.
Correct. Right. We already know about the, electrical and the heating and air conditioning that is in the agenda to be done by the fall of 24.
Anyone second?
Seconded.
You say let's move.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Has it been added?
Say it again?
Has this been added?
Yeah.
Very good. Can we move on to item number 6 now, please?
Okay. So we have the age-friendly staff report. The staff recommends to receive the report. Age-friendly recertification project. The age-friendly recertification project will cost $30K. Breakdown of funds to be used, $30K general fund. Amount approved at mid-year by City Council on February 14th, 2023. The background at its regular meeting on June 28th, 2011, the Senior Commission proposed that the City Council consider applying on behalf of Los Altos to join the World Health Organization network of age-friendly cities. City Council supported the efforts and directed the Senior Commission to draft the application for Council's review. Staff was directed to provide an estimate regarding the number of anticipated staff hours required during years 1 and 2 of the planning phase. On September 27, 2011, City Council approved the Los Altos application to the WHO network of the age-friendly cities with the amendment that included the removal of the proposed Senior Commission recommendations from the application to allow the process to be more aspirational in nature. On June 7th, 2021, Annabelle Pelham, PhD and founding director for the Center for Age-Friendly Excellence Cafe, gave a presentation to Senior Commission on Age-Friendly Community Sustainability Principles from Grantmakers in Aging. Cafe was created to capture all the knowledge, capacity, experience, expertise, and process to become an age-friendly city and is currently working with 21 cities. Dr. Pelham has worked closely with the California AARP, who assists with the process to create a 5-year age-friendly action plan as required by the program. On December 6, 2021, the Senior Commission approved the recommendation to pursue Dr. Pelham and Cafe to assist the city of Los Altos to update its age-friendly status and create an action plan for the WHO. On February 14th, 2023, the Los Altos City Council approved the mid-year budget request of $30K to fund the age-friendly recertification project. City staff met Cafe on March 23rd, 2023 to discuss next steps. Dr. Pelham has recommended that the City of Los Altos conduct the American Association of Retired Persons AARP survey. First, to gain statistical data, this will provide metrics to complement and compare the information to be gathered in the focus groups. City staff has already initiated outreach to AARP to start the process. The recertification subcommittee met with Dr. Pelham on April 18th, 2023, to learn about the recertification process and discuss next steps. In addition, city staff met with AARP representatives to discuss the survey process. City staff submitted the application to AARP to set up the survey. The city's PIO team is currently working on outreach to plan to inform the Los Altos community of this opportunity, to provide feedback. Staff met with an AARP representative on August 3rd, 2023, to discuss the survey process. Staff had a follow-up meeting with AARP research and development team on August 31st, 2023, to finalize the setup of the online survey link. The research and development team recommended a minimum target of 300 respondents with the ultimate goal of 500. Staff received the live survey link from AARP research and development team and worked with public information officer team to create and release press announcements, which was published in early November. Since then, ad hoc subcommittees have shared and presented information to various community groups, which include the Cultural Exchange Group, Los Altos Community Center Lunch Group, Grant Park Community Center Lunch Group, and Rotary. The survey was open through January 29th, 2024. The AARP, this is the analysis, AARP Research and Development Team recommends a minimum of 300 respondents with an overall goal of 500. To date, we received 316 completed surveys, 248 online, and 68 hard copy. Staff is currently working to enter the hard copy information. Once that is complete, staff will work with the research and development team to get the survey data for the senior commission and cafe to analyze. Thank you for listening.
Could you just repeat the date when it's going to be analyzed, or when they estimate that the date will?
It says, let's see,
Last line.
the last line, so it says once, so to date, staff is currently working to enter the hard copy information. So that is still in process. So there isn't a date yet. So once that's complete, then staff will work with the research and development team to get the survey data to the senior commission. So there isn't a date quite yet, but I can put a note that to see if there's an update on that.
Yeah, we need to see an update on that.
Of course.
All right, this is the informational item, time when we would want to have Dr. Buckles' report on the age-friendly relevant meeting. Can we also get the flyers at the same time?
Yes, we definitely can. So, we've got our town hall game night, bring your friends and family, Saturday, March 9th. This is for Los Altos, the flyer we have. Hoppin' Hounds is at Los Altos. That's actually happening on March 30th, 9 to 10:30. And that's gonna be at the Bryan Reserve at the West Wind Community Barn. And that's happening for the Los Altos Hills. Then, our Parks and Rec department for the city of Los Altos, we have our spring egg hunt on March 30th. That's actually gonna be out here at the soccer field. Carnival games start at 9:30, egg hunt at 10, and then there's a live performance at 10:20. Rain or shine, bring your basket. Then we have our family fun days that are taking place. The next one's April 13th. That will be happening, April 13th here, space exploration, and that will be from 10 to 2. And then we have our, summer is coming very soon. So we have the Redwood Grove Summer Camp, June 17th through August 5th. Ages 3.5 to 11 years of age. And we are hiring, as you know, we have a variety of part-time positions, facility attendant, preschool teacher, actually, that one we don't anymore. The adult 50+ sports program rec leader 2, teen program recreation leader 2 and 3. And we also have, our summer recreation leaders that we're hiring as well. And that's rec leaders 1, 2, and 3 we're hiring for. We have our CIT program where you can learn to be a counselor in training, and that is for ages 13 to 15. And the applications are due by Tuesday, April 30th. And then the last one is we are hiring for our summer staff. And then this last flyer is just specifically about our teens. And we also we're bringing our Camp Jelly Bean back this summer, and that's for 3.5 to 4-year-olds. So that one, we didn't have it last year, but it's starting this year.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for doing that, but I apologize because I misunderstood. When I said flyers, I thought the flyers that match with his talk were going to be called flyers, but those are called slide.
That's gonna be on, I think, this next item, where it says commission reports.
I see. I'm sorry, these things are very hard to understand. They overlap, they don't necessarily, I had always thought that what Bill was going to say was going to come within the adult 50+ because it's all related to age or age friendly when we said it'll come later. But it's very hard to understand what is coming where. But thank you so much. We're done with the flyers. So then where do we start with?
So then we have the staff oral report, which actually is pretty much what I just mentioned, but I know Chris might have, did you have any more items you wanted to share?
No, I would just, one thing that we are gonna continue to emphasize is joining our mailing list and sharing our contact information. If people prefer not to navigate signing up for our classes through the computer webs, the phone line is open, and we will definitely remain responsive to phone calls, where we offer a lot of support and services to registration and navigating the programs. That's a great resource. I want everyone to know is the hotline, not the hotline, the senior center, the 50+ program.
Okay. I think the only thing Jamie did want me to mention during the staff report is that just to remind everyone that April 1st is actually a holiday, so there won't be a meeting on that day. It'll be a special meeting for April 8th. And she wanted to check and see if there's gonna be a quorum for that. And if you don't know right now, it's okay because we'll send it out. But she just wanted me to mention that. And that is all we have for the staff report piece.
I wanted to make a comment about the telephone that was mentioned at the adult 50+. Whenever you try to call the adult 50+ telephone, it's shared between Grant Park and this desk here. And so invariably the wrong place picks up and you are not able to, is there a problem having 2 different phones? So that if you want to call Grant Park, you call Grant Park. You want to call Los Altos, you call Los Altos.
As far as I know, I think it's if, we can definitely look into that because I know we also have direct lines where you can call, like I know Chris has a direct line, but as far as I know, has there been an issue when, like if you call Grant?
The staff they're all part of the adult 50+ program, so they should be able to address your problem,
Yeah.
unless it's something very, I think it would be a small, unlikely scenario that would be an issue. They could always forward it and alert the staff.
No, what I see, what I've always encountered is if I want to speak with somebody here most of the time, not Grant, I've been told, put the phone down, I won't pick up and call again right now, so the next person will pick up. That seems to be an unnecessary.
We'll work on some staff training to learn how to properly forward and alert
Right.
staff.
I think that's something we can work on.
Thank you. now tell me when we can ask Dr. Buckholz to share. Now, Dr. Buckholz, and while he shares, can we get the slides?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's all we're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chairwoman.
Just learning the mechanics of things.
I learn all the time too. Don't worry, we'll learn together.
Is that, yeah, sure. I wanna make sure some of these flyers are in case.
And let's talk.
Okay, I can summarize these before you get to go through all of them. Most Americans will need long-term care. Average 2 years. Cost, so is 250 grand annually. Now covered by Medicare. Cost of nursing, like home nursing, 300,000. Women are without caregivers or partners more often than men. Everything's going to cost more. The dwindling over time is inevitable unless you have a sudden death, which some people would prefer, because then you don't have to spend time feeling sorry for yourself. The problem is that the seniors, and I think I'm the most senior here, is that right?
I may have a couple of years, what, 87.
87. Okay, yes, you're the senior. I'm the most junior senior.
I can be a father.
Yes, I had to. There are these very legitimate, affect people's lives, things that are happening. And the government has not done anything about them. There are organizations that supply various resources. They're expensive. The families are bankrupted with the medical costs, and that's not limited to age-related. The need for people to take care of us, because I would hope for everyone's sake, you are part of this us living long enough with as many grandchildren as I have that are close by, that we have to address what we can do as an advisory group to the city council to have some sense of research of what is possible and do our own fact finding. So the facts are available to you, you just know where to look. And decide what we can recommend to the people who write checks. And to guide as much as we can the decision makers as to what is most necessary to consider of the many unknown needs. I don't know that the focus groups are necessarily going to address the needs of caregiving. It depends on what the choices of the 8 domains are chosen. But somebody's got to look after us and help solve the problems that we will face. The probability varies. So from person to person. But nevertheless, someone you know, is likely to become mired in deep yogurt. Offer that as a challenge, not just a good precedent.
So, Dr. Buckles, do you think this would be a city-based solution?
The fact that it's local based. Obviously, Los Altos has boundaries set, so that's the definition of local. But the other communities around are facing similar problems. So we may become, as we were in age-friendly certification, the first city in the state of California to be so certified. So is there any reason why we should not aspire to be one of the first cities to address this openly? No way we solve it. But you can take that first step towards finding solutions. And as they did in the 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, work their way around what are our aspirations and what can we put in the context of these aspirations that is the yeast that can supply the solutions. So I think that as the commission, we got it working orders.
I really like that. Really.
Are you finished with your? So I was thinking about, what you're saying, and, I think it's a concern for all of us, actually.
Yeah.
It's a real one concern. So in a way, it's like beyond the scope of the commission. However, in our action plan, when we get the data back from all the different things that we're gonna go through, it's gonna fit under that topic in general will fit under community support and healthcare services. And it will be interesting to see if the data that we collect and analyze, if this issue comes up at all. And so that's my first comment. Let's say it does come up in some way. And it will go into our action plan. And in the action plan, we will decide what the goals are, what we think we can accomplish, because the action plan has to be doable. I think, anyway, this is just my general gist. I think it's a critical issue across everybody. So, but if we lay it into our structure, I think it will help us. So I would recommend that we, think about it, wherever we can talk about it, agendize it again. But I think it's going to fit nicely into that domain, and we can, push on it there and come up with some things and do some extra research on the side. But let's see what the data shows first. What do you think about that?
Given the education I have received at this meeting, I would like to move that we agendize the issue of placing on the work plan the issues related to caregiving for aging adults.
Yes, I'd like to second that. Very nice.
I like that idea. Can we add care and also education? Because I think this can go into educating the population, which could go into the programming too. So it could be, is that?
Care and prevention, educational prevention. And could we have this regularly scheduled each month for 6 months at least?
We would keep doing the work plan review, and we can keep doing that as part of the work plan review.
Okay.
So like Jane just helped me understand, work plan review is present every month
The fluid document.
as a fluid document.
So I have a friendly amendment. Can you state the first phrase of what you said?
I move that we agendize discussion of the need for care and education of aging adults to deal with long-term life.
If you just say care and education of aging adults, then we are only talking about educating the aging adults. If you say caregiver, then you're
Oh,
talking
I'm sorry.
about the person who's giving that care.
My bad. Caregiving and educating. Thank you very much.
I have a friendly amendment, and I don't know if this is the right terminology. We need the right exact phrase that's gonna umbrella the whole thing. And I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we need to work on it a little bit more, but the general topic that we hear about and the phrase that's used commonly that I've heard is long-term care. Long-term care has a lot of components. And, I recommend that we change it to that phrase for now and then think about it, research and see what's gonna happen. You can maybe in parentheses put, the different things that we're thinking about right now. If you wanna have an ad hoc, if we end up having ad hoc committees on this, one will deal with education, one will deal, you can compartmentalize it.
Well, caregiving in the home by the aging spouse of the,
That's
commended.
part of long-term care. That's considered part of it. In-home care, whoever gives it.
So both domiciliary and,
It's not only facilities, right?
okay,
Yeah, but I'm not saying that's the perfect term. We could double check and research it a little bit, but let's have it, to be discussed and to be
so
determined.
how would you propose the wording?
I would just say, instead of the two little phrases, instead of caregiver and education, I would say just long-term care for now. And it comes under that domain of healthcare services. Whether healthcare is delivered in any kind of facility or it's delivered at home, it's part of healthcare services.
Or you could
We
say,
do a lot of home care.
you could say long-term care, addressing the needs of caregivers and education.
We could see what we wanna do. I mean, I think it's just the
So
first.
it encompasses everything you guys are talking about and want to address.
It also includes planning, a very, it sort of happens.
Yes,
And it's not like, setting up an estate plan, people, you write a few things, who's gonna have power of attorney, but then you put it away. And it really needs to be an education of families and individuals before we get there.
Well, we're gonna agendize it for future discussion. At that time, when it comes back, we have brought other organizations that have come to speak to us at Senior Center at Brent Park, who can address some of the things that you're talking about. Is like what documents you need, how to make sure you have things to inform your family. So when we bring it back, we can address all that. And then we can also make sure that the resources available is on the website, so people can know where they can seek assistance.
Very good. So we are at number 9.
we have,
If you're just agendizing something, you only need to,
We are number 9.
it doesn't need to be an emotion, it just can be, just say what you want. Everyone agrees.
And you have the majority, yeah.
We're going to agendize this as our item for next time discussion for
For
future.
next month.
yes.
And does everybody approve?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
And so the exact wording is,
I have, agendized discussion of addressing needs of caregivers and planning for long-term care and long-term care. And education.
Long-term care and education. Just long-term care and education.
For now, I mean, I think it's.
long-term care to address the needs of caregivers and education.
So far for future agenda items, we have the CIP request, we have the caregiver issue addressed, we have the lunch program that we talked about. we have to put in the future agenda for the 50+ programming. Well, how would you like to word that? Have you already, Candace, have we already added that into our next time's agenda, or do we need to give you the words?
So with your motion for the CIP, if you want to, I'm like, that's, you shouldn't need to bring that back because you've already made that motion.
That is done. I'm just going through the list I have. So for the 50+ review, did we make an agenda item for future, or do we need to make one now? Because we said we'll do that later when the time comes.
So that's a work plan item because you have, and it's also an ad hoc committee. So you have you should have ad hoc committee reviews, but Buckles, you don't have a ad hoc committee regarding the caregiving, so that is not something. Yeah, like we don't have record of a singular committee or ad hoc committee with you at a meeting.
Actually, what happens is you're agendizing it, and from there, from your discussion, if you need to form a committee, because right now you can't do anything. Right. It wasn't agendized for discussion, but now you're requesting that item to come back for discussion. At that time of discussion, you can decide what you want to do.
So you're an ad hoc committee of one for this caregiving item?
No, it's not there yet.
There's no ad hoc.
That's fine. Just officially appointed.
You're on the committee regarding the focus group.
Yeah,
You're already on the focus group committee together.
But when we're discussing this as part of the work plan, we don't need to be on an ad hoc committee. We can discuss this as a senior commission. Then we don't need an ad hoc committee for this caregiving agenda. It's a future
You're all
agenda.
discussing it, you're all bringing it back. You know what? Can I ask something? So I think I didn't want to violate the Brown Act, so I sent my email to you and the vice chair. I had a wonderful speaker at my Cal Cities meeting. Her name was Debbie Tall and Suzanne Myers.
TOTH.
Yes, and they're from Choice in Aging. They help build programs in another community in Contra Costa. I would like to request that we have her come and speak to this commission. Everything you're bringing up, she can help you understand what Choice in Aging has done for their community. And also how you as a senior commission can have a role in making things happen. So I think it would be very valuable to have her come. So if possible, I'd like to request, if you'd like, to have her come and speak to the commission, her and Suzanne Myers.
I hope that we approve your recommendation.
That would be nice.
So we would need to agendize that discussion for next week.
To our meeting.
Make a motion.
We can make a motion on this because it's not on the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to.
Give us direction, So
Maybe
future
agendize.
agendize, you like it as a future agendize, and you gotta agree to it, and if we get the majority agreeing to it, that would be fine.
So can we agendize an item so that we can invite a future speaker in one of our future meetings?
Debbie Toth and Debbie Toth and Suzanne Myers
Can we invite Debbie Toth and Suzanne Myers for
from Choice in Aging.
Choice in Aging?
Since that will be agendized, then we could consider other speakers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We wanna have them. So I,
Most appropriate
I-
person.
you make a motion, I make a second, and that's done.
Well, you can give us all direction. You should say, I would like to agendize it, and if you all agree, then yes, we can get that speaker.
Quick question, before can we go back and see what we have? Just wanna make sure we have all the items for future.
Just saying, perfect. That's what I was just saying, that all the items that I have on my list are the CIP request, the caregiver issue, which we are, requesting that there be a speaker come from, that the Trust in Aging program and open up similar speakers from other places to come and talk to us about this area. And then we want to put on the future agenda also the work plan so that 50+ review can be done. And we also want to put in the request for more time for the 50+ program for the future agenda. Is this correct?
That's what I have here.
Do we need to identify like the lunch program, we spoke about expanding on that? Or is
The
that?
lunch program,
And
yes. The lunch program, do we also add a discussion for the future agenda? So then that is there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 things for future agenda.
So the only, like,
We always have those two, so.
So work plan and age friendly is always on the agenda.
so just to go back, because you said CIP on the next agenda, correct? Or is that just something you discussed today? Because the motions are in my minutes, but we're talking about next agenda, like future agenda items, and that was completed with your motion. So the motion for a CIP was already created.
Yeah, that,
We don't talk about in the future again. We will get a report at what time?
Well, I would need to send it through to see what Jamie would say about it, and she'll come back with questions.
It's done. Okay, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
So then we talk about the caregiver issue, the lunch program, the 50+ review, and more time for the 50+ program as future agenda items, and also work plan and age-related discussion, age-friendly discussion in the future agenda as well. Done? Appropriately done?
Plan's already on there though, right?
We always.
But we always keep
And
asking.
age friendly is already on there.
Yes.
So those don't necessarily need to be on future agenda items because they're already there.
So we usually put it on.
Say it each time, otherwise it's not there. Everybody agree? Anybody have any?
what's the formal letter? Where's that gonna fit in that we have to send to the city council? Not sure.
So if you discuss a motion to recommend the city council to increase the adult 50+ budget to increase the hours of operation of the adult 50+ program past 2 p.m., then the staff should, would be the ones that would review this. They would probably create a report and then it would be given to city council.
So Vice Chairman Cohen is saying that we had discussed writing a formal letter. Should that be put into the agenda so that it reaches the staff and then you can discuss it and then get back? What you just said.
I mean, that could be part of a staff report if that was what the commission wants.
We have to still write that formal letter. Where do we put that?
I mean, the motion is kind of your letter, if you look at it that way. But if you want to create a letter that you want included more than the motion, you could do that and just send it.
Under number 2, when we have city council joint meeting, it reads that, to review the meeting on the date that it happened, and then to take action as appropriate. So the action is that we want to send a formal letter to the council with our request.
Well, actually, how you have it agendized at the next meeting is more appropriate. And
should
at
be.
that time you can make
We
a
need to
motion.
add that specific thing to the agenda for next time.
Well, we
To create a letter.
And then a letter gets drafted out.
can discuss whether you want to do it and then, like you said, the motion would be also sending them, captured.
Yeah.
Create a report.
Yeah, correct.
So we'll add in.
Iteminize it and you can further discuss it.
So we'd like to agendize for the future, next meeting, that we will create the action from our joint city council meeting and write a formal letter with our requests.
We're gonna discuss.
Is that making sense?
No.
No. Say it again.
No.
What's the formal letter? I thought the formal letter was regarding,
I think we go over the agenda items again.
so,
I think that agenda items, I think you don't need to have it specific like that because you're having the discussion of the programming. At that time, when you discuss those items, you can discuss what actions you're gonna take. Got it? Is that clear?
well, the most, for me, the motion is the letter, right?
Well, they're not gonna take a motion now, right? You're just requesting the first.
They have to talk about.
Yeah,
the next
correct.
meeting, which you
Correct,
were saying, so we have to talk about the issue,
right?
the next meeting.
And then discuss what actions you're gonna
Right.
take.
We're putting the horse before the cart a little bit.
We've talked about the issue. We want to write the formal letter and give it.
It wasn't. But the stacking wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we need to simplify it,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and that's what we're trying to do. So I think,
Would it, agenda is stacking and programming?
look at.
Get the title.
Because they have motions that they want. So the motion are essentially.
So that's why it is, instead, just to keep it, to discuss the 50+ program and what actions and motions, what actions would be needed to increase the program.
Budget.
Yeah, so I think it would be just a broader discussion. And then if you leave it specific to creating a motion, then it's to just discuss increasing the 50+ program and what specifics of that do they want to talk about increasing, and you understand what I'm trying to say. The lunch budget and
Supplementing existing programming.
by, by expanding existing programs. Right.
And then we.
To expand existing programs. To expand existing programs.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to get this clear really quick before we leave.
Yeah, some of those.
Richard, there's one more question. There's one more question to be asked.
Hold on, well, let's just make sure we got this.
Yeah.
Well, just said increase adult 50+ budget to expand existing programs.
Or just expand 50+ programs, and then at that time, they can discuss options like expanding budget and all that.
But the sharing thing.
Yeah,
Like that.
so you don't need
So
to
just put increase adult 50+ programs.
expand in adult 50+ programs. And then, they can, at that time, talk about the budget, they can talk about hours, they can talk about, you understand what I'm trying to say, Bridget, right?
Believe me, we want to expand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You get a gold star.
Yeah.
Keep it simple and.
Council members really helping us out. We have a quick question from Chris.
I know we have 324 and 64, handwritten, and then staff is inputting it. Is there a time frame of which when that might be, estimate that might be done? Because I know then that's when
I don't
things get started.
Right, I don't have the information, it's just what I was reading in the report. So I can inquire about that. It looked like there,
Because you're holding up everything waiting on the survey.
I don't have an answer for you at this time.
Thank you very much for the meeting. I declare the meeting adjourned.
5:04.
Can I have these 2 hard copies?